When it comes to games, I consider myself the kind of person who finds that one game by accident that seems interesting and then I stick to it for months at a time. If it's fun, I probably won't drop it for at least 100 hours of total playtime before beginning to question anything. Recently, I've been playing PUBG, Overwatch, Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel, Binding of Isaac Rebirth with all the expansions, and there are some instances of games that hold my interests all up until the credits, and even make me want to replay it instantly, even if the story is the same and the gameplay is the same and basically nothing changes, just because I thought it was fun. Doom 2016 and Resident Evil 4 specifically comes to mind. That's the point I want to get to, and the question I'm asking with this video. What really does make a game fun? A lot of people would say it's a mix of a holy trinity: gameplay, graphics, and story. There are obvious other factors, like the soundtrack for example, but the base ingredients are usually the same. They intertwine with each other and have to strike a good balance for it to work. Top-of-the-line graphics aren't required, but an aesthetic has to exist. A lot of games fail to get this right. Now I'm mostly referring to newer, more action-packed titles from AAA developers such as Battlefield, Call of Duty, and the like. They're games that are good time sinks, sure. You need to kill some time, just jump into a match. Whereas other games go for the you have to sink at least 3 hours each session or you won't get anywhere formula. I personally haven't played it yet, but Persona 5 seems to be that sort of game. As we move forward, and the industry advances in front of our eyes, with VR as a prime example of this, I feel like we're so quick to forget and forgive developers for making lazy attempts to profit of the dumb consumers that we are. There will always be those people who buy loot boxes in Overwatch just for that one skin, or there will be people who buy microtransactions because they can't sink that time into playing 40 hours to unlock a single hero Battlefront 2. How do you find that balance to begin with? What makes a game feel worth it to progress? I hold a personal gripe with open world games. There are often so many things to do and see that I forget 90% of the game just because that's who I am. I find that making a game huge and vast is something overwhelming. Take Breath of the Wild. You have to put time into a game like that to experience all it has to offer. I was so entirely overwhelmed by the places I could go to and the things I could see that I didn't have any clue where to start. But after some time, it became clearer and clearer the more the game I explored and understood. Yet, once I found all the towers and the entire map was revealed, I just didn't know what to do. I had been on this quest to explore and find everything, but something shifted in tone along the way. Egoraptor once said something similar to this in his Sequelitis, with A Link to the Past versus Ocarina of Time. Once you realize that you're being led by these quest markers, you're no longer a brave adventurer. You're being taken on a tour in Disneyland. I didn't want to continue Breath of the Wild because I felt like there was no incentive for me to continue the game. But when the adventure was full on its way, I had the gear and I knew the story, I felt complete. I did it. I beat the game. I think that when it comes to games that can't find that ending, they become a grind. Be it in the fun Borderlands or Monster Hunter way, or be it in the Overwatch way, the you can never finish this. Speaking of Overwatch, this is kinda where I wanted to go with this whole review that totally lacks any structure. Overwatch is a game where you have a set skill ceiling that you reach within 5 to 10 hours and then you will basically never improve. You're stuck in elo hell. Or maybe that's just me. A game becomes a fun learning curve all thanks to one thing. It's experimentation. When a game gives me options to use a variety of stuff to become stronger, I feel it makes me more inclined to keep playing. There isn't a ceiling to what you can achieve. There will always be options in the way you approach different situations in games. This is why I have sunk over 250 hours into the Binding of Isaac, and well over 500 hours into Borderlands 2. But it's not just the grind that makes it fun. I love grinding games, sure. Monster Hunter, for example, I've collected probably well over 1,000 hours into the series, yet I still go back for more. And I can't wait for Monster Hunter World to get released on PC this fall. There's a ceiling to your gear, sure, but the skill of your character and you will always improve. You can't be the best guy in the world, because it just won't happen. But some games make the grind seem tedious and dull. Overwatch is a good example of this. No one I've met in competitive have ever said, I'm just here to have fun and see what happens, see if I can get better. It is competitive after all, but I digress. No, it's always, this composition doesn't work, or why are you playing that character, they're not in the meta. People are easily agitated because they're not there to play the game, they're there to win and only win. This is what makes a community toxic, for example. When a community has agreed upon a certain playstyle to be the best in any situation, the ceiling disappears. There's no more room to improve. The community has put the ceiling on themselves. If you're struggling so hard, then go play quick play, is also something I hear a lot. Now, winning is fun, sure, but if you're not having fun when trying to win, why even bother? Maybe single-player games strike this balance better because they are entirely based on discussion, and telling people cool ideas and tips tend to bring people closer. Co-op games like Destiny do this, for example. But when that crosses over into the competitive scene, it all shifts in tone, and it stops becoming about having the coolest or funnest playstyle. Then it's all about winning. Are you even playing a game at that point? Are you having fun?